The Hagenbeck-Wallace train wreck happened on June 22, 1918, in Hammond, Indiana, right outside of Chicago. The Hagenbeck-Wallace Circus employed around 250 performers with acts going all across the board. It formed in 1907 when Benjamin Wallace purchased the Carl Hagenbeck Circus that required 2 trains of 28 cars to transport performers, animals, and gear. The circus used older wooden cars that were lit by oil lamps, and the train had 2 different segments. The train filled with all the animals had left earlier, leaving only the performers and workers on the tracks. In the early morning hours of June 22, 1918, engineer Alonzo Sargent was at the throttle of a troop train pulling 20 empty Pullman cars. I did a previous video about Pullman and his railroad cars, which is unrelated but a little side note to the story. Sargent was aware of the circus train ahead of him but was running on little sleep, and he was thought to have dozed off at the wheel. At 4 a.m. he missed 2 automatic signals and warnings posted by a brakeman of the 26-car circus train. The circus train made an emergency stop to check on a hot box, which is a term used when an axle bearing overheats on a piece of railway rolling stock. Sargent's train plowed into the caboose and 4 rear wooden sleeping cars of the circus train at around 35 miles an hour. A newspaper reported that the engine and tender of the moving train passed completely over and through the wreck. The engine left the rails but did not overturn. Upon impact, the train's lamps ignited the wooden cars and the fire spread quickly. The train is said to have gone clean through the center of the other, slicing it right down the middle. The first on scene was the mayor of nearby Gary, Indiana, who brought the fire chief and then phoned all the medical personnel he could. Most of the 86 who were killed in the train wreck perished in the first 35 seconds after the collision. The fire was so intense that the shallow marshes could not compete. 5 days later, 53 of the performers and workers killed were buried at Woodlawn Cemetery in Forest Park, Illinois. The Showmen League of America had purchased a plot of land only a few months earlier and named it Showmens Rest. Only 5 people who were buried could be formally identified, so the majority of the grave markers are known as unknown male or female, along with Smiley, Baldy, and 4-horse driver. The gravesite is unusual in that it contains 56 crash victims, each in their own coffin, but it's just one large 35 by 24 foot hole that is 5 feet deep. The most recent graves at the location belong to people who worked with the circus and chose to be buried there. Although Sargent and his fireman Gustav Klaus were criminally charged in Lake County, Indiana, following a trial the jury found itself deadlocked and a mistrial was declared. Prosecutors declined to retry the case and charges were dismissed on June 9, 1920. The circus began performing again just 3 days later.